And we are live. Hey, Kim.
Hello. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting.
I'm Morna Haist, and this is Kim Standeven, and we are the founders of the Life Design Lab for Women Leaders, and this is our very first breathing space show.
Woo!
Yay! And it's also my birthday, and happy birthday to me.
Yes, happy birthday, Morna.
I couldn't think of actually a better gift to give myself than beginning the show with you, getting this conversation out into the world in a bigger way, and just connecting into the work that we both know is so important. So here we are. Welcome to the Breathing Space, our new weekly show. We're going to be coming to you every week, same time, same bat channel. And we're going to begin each show with an opportunity to breathe and connect. So I'm going to do that with us now. So let's just take a moment, wherever you are. If you're driving, if you're operating any heavy machinery, then just make sure you're safe as you do this. So we're just going to stop for a moment. We're going to pause. Let's take a breath. You can have your eyes closed or your eyes open. Take a breath and just connect in to this moment. What can you see? What can you hear? What can you feel? What's happening in this moment? Just take another breath. And know that you can give yourself the gift of space in a moment. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just in 30 seconds, you can give yourself the gift of space. So welcome, give yourself the gift of just hanging out with us for the next, doesn't that sound weird? Give yourself the gift of hanging out with us for the next 20 minutes. Give yourself the gift of hanging out with yourself for the next 20 minutes and just tune in and notice whatever comes up for you during our time together. So we're not going to focus too much on in this opening show, but we've got a question for you. So each week we're going to be asking some version of a powerful question. And this week the question is, what do you want to fully show up for? What do you want to fully show up for? And just ponder that while we're in this space together. And if you feel inspired, share with us in the comments below what you want to fully show up for. And for Kim and I, one of the things that we want to fully show up for is the space that we've created for women called the Life Design Lab for Women Leaders. And we've created this space. It's a membership program. We've created this space because we know that for so many women who are out there doing purpose-driven work, who are out there on a mission to change something, it can be really tricky to juggle and balance and figure out all of these different aspects of our lives. And we're doing so in an environment that's not designed for us to thrive often. So, we've created this space called the Life Design Lab for Women Leaders to really explore this question of how do we create a life that actually works for us. And what do we mean by that? A life in which we can thrive in the process. And so we meet every week. And if you want to find out more about that, we're always going to put a link to it in the show notes. So I'm Morna Haist, and I'm a leadership coach for female change makers. And my work is about empowering women to show up to the work that's yours, take a powerful stand in the world, and make the impact that you're here to make at this time on the planet. And I really do believe that we're alive at a super critical time, and I'll talk about that more on upcoming shows about what time it is in our world. But, it's what I know from the many, many women that I've worked with all over the place is that we need a tribe, we need to be surrounded by our sisters, and we need spaces to breathe, like this space. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to my co-host, Kim, and she's going to tell you a little bit about who she is, and then we're going to tell you what the show is about and why to hang around and tune in. And if you're here with us, let us know. Give us a shout out. Tell us you're here. We'd love to know that you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome. This is very exciting, and an official happy birthday, Morna. Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, so great. Glad you were born.
Me too, thanks.
yeah, thanks. Yeah. So that question, who am I, is such a big, wondrous question that I've been pondering for a really long time, and it's really the cornerstone of my journey. But if I have to put a label on what I do and what I'm passionate about, it would be I'm a spiritual mentor, and I help support women in their journey of answering that question of who I am, or who am I. I am a spiritual messenger, author, speaker, where the core of my work is really tuning into our intuition, tuning into all of the information at our fingertips, energetically, things that we can see and things that we can't see. So definitely on a spiritual journey myself, and I feel so blessed to be able to share my wisdom and the work that I do, whether it's through books or workshops or this type of show, where I can just allow whatever wants to be shared to come through me. But I have a question for you, Morna, as you're celebrating your birthday today. I'm going to put you on the spot. Something just came through me here, around, what's your wish? What's your wish for this space?
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Thanks for that, Kim.
Big question. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I often get teary on my birthday, not because I'm morbidly sad, not today, but because it's a day of reflection often for me, and a day of actually tuning into the enormity of this gift that we're given called life. I mean, it just freaking, if you really stop to think about it, the fact that we are here in this human form at this exact moment, having the experience we're having, is a one in a, I don't know, math is not my strong point. 1 in, 50 trillion, I don't know.
It's big.
It's huge.
We can't fathom it. We can't fathom all of the events that had to happen in order through the generations and centuries for us to be sitting here today.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so my wish is that as women, actually, I want to go a little further than that and just be really clear that I believe women are the force for change on our planet at this time. I believe we've been called. I believe that we have incredibly important work to do. And my wish is that we stand in what we're here to do. We do it, and we really do it from an intentional space where we're paying attention to how we create our life around that work, that we're not out there being martyrs, being falling on the sword of the work we're doing, that we're doing it from a place from which we thrive. Because when we thrive and when we're creating our life and work from that space, then we have the opportunity to actually change the world. It doesn't have to be the other way around. So that's my wish.
I love that.
Also, cake.
Yeah.
And maybe some wine later.
Some wine later. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So the question now is why? Why did we create this show? And why are we in this conversation? And I think I can start by just saying both Morna and I came together knowing that we needed a space, a container, a place for these powerful questions, for this powerful conversation, to collectively come together as women and build each other up rather than, maybe tearing each other down. So what are your thoughts on why this show, Morna?
Well, I think a couple of reasons. First, I want to shout out to Leah and Karen, who's watching. Hey, ladies. Why this show? Well, a couple of reasons. First, I love what happens live. I love doing live work. Why? Because that's actually how life works. I've been training and teaching for a really long time, and that would happen in rooms with humans live. I wasn't kind of recording training and having people watch it as a movie. And so kind of coming into this online space and being in this online world, the ability to actually do things like this, to present a show, I love it. I love what happens live.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing about this show is we're really committed, and I think I can speak for both of us, we're really committed to this idea of creating space, creating a breathing space. What does that actually mean? So, this is a place for us to explore our own journey and share with you what we're learning through our work in the Life Design Lab, through the women who we're privileged enough to spend significant time with, who are on this journey with us, to share what's coming up from the experiments that we're running in that space. And I think also to show all of the sides of the coin, and I'm going like that, all of the sides of the coin, and there's only two, right? I feel like there's a lot more. It feels like there's a lot more today. And just what is it when you have to give a warning about swearing? There's a word for it. I'm about to give one because I'm about to fucking swear. I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to swear all the time.
There was your warning.
Yeah, there was your warning. That we can actually be fucked up and brilliant all at the same time. We've always got shit going on in our lives. And I often describe my life as a tale of two cities. And I know that this is so. Oh, we just lost some viewers. I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
It's so often a tale of two cities that we've got all of these different things happening in our lives, and we need places to come together and figure out how to navigate that. We need spaces to just be and to just breathe. So, there's nothing to really do when you show up for the show with us every week other than just listen for your gem. Listen for what you're here to hear or what you're here to contribute. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and my tip is, bring a piece of paper and a pen. This is the best tool that you can bring to these shows. And like Morna said, listen for that gem, because we have, a structure that we bring to this space, and we're really trusting the process of whatever comes through and needs to be said, because I know in the work that I do as a spiritual mentor that I have to trust what's coming through, that's what somebody needs to hear for their own growth. And I think for me, this space is an opportunity for us all to have nourishment and grow and explore and have that acknowledgement and encouragement from other women that you're not alone in this crazy navigating of life. Right. And I think I really want to speak to the power of breath too. And why we called it the breathing space is because we're in this, and I'll use the word rat race, we're in this constant spin of life, of to-dos, of expectations, opinions, heaviness sometimes. And if we don't just give ourselves the opportunity to brush all that off and take a really deep breath, I mean, physically, we breathe so shallowly. We're like, and I don't even know for myself, sometimes I'm actually holding my breath and I notice it. And it's like, whoa, I'm just like, when was the last time I took a deep breath and allowed my body that, oxygen and to actually think clearly. So we need deep, beautiful breath to actually think and get clear and come back into the present moment.
We do, and I think this is a beautiful articulation of what this space is. We often use the phrase between us of creating space in a world where there's no space left. How do we do that? And the breath is such an I want to say easy, but it's actually not for most of us, because as you say, And it's interesting. The research shows that this starts to happen in school when children start to sit in chairs, that our breathing begins to change from our natural human breathing, which is breathing through the tummy, taking these deep, long, slow breaths. That's our kind of natural way of breathing, unless we're scared or in fight or flight, and then it shifts up into the shallow breathing.
Mm-hmm.
But we've kind of rewired, so many of us have rewired ourselves to holding our breath and having that shallow breathing. So let's actually just take a moment now and take a breath. Just take a moment to actually become aware of how we feel, how you feel, like what's actually going on. And that moment when you take a breath, just one breath, tuning into one breath can help you tune into your body and notice what happens. Is there a flood of the to-do list? Do you feel happy? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel tired? And then what do you do with that? One thing is to begin cultivating non-judgment and treating this as information rather than doing what so many of us do. I want to say 100% success rate in doing this, which is then putting layers of judgments on our experience. I shouldn't be feeling that way. Oh, I should be calmer. I should be this. I should be that. Oh my God, how do I stop feeling this anxiety? It's just looking at it as information. And then what do you want to do with that? And if you want to, begin focusing on breathing, actually, I think we'll do this next week. I can share a way that we can create more of an anchor around the breath. But it's such a powerful connection to the present moment, right?
Yeah, and I think the foundation for Morna and I creating this and making a commitment for this is to provide structure, to provide a support, because I know, and the work that I've been doing for all these years, and I can probably speak for Morna too, is that when we don't have that structure of support, the environment just comes in and takes over. We just get sucked right back in. So this is meant for those of you who are joining us or watching the recording, it's to anchor in structure for yourself. That's why it's going to be once a week, because without it, we can forget what matters to us. We can forget what our gifts are, why we're here in the world, and what we really want to do and invest in. Yeah.
Yes, and it's that word that you're using, environment, is so brilliant, and I want to just touch on that for a moment, because often we can think, I notice that we can think of our environment as these external pieces, and yes, it's absolutely the external pieces. We're in, those of us living in a kind of in Western societies, it is go 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 go. Mm-hmm. There are so many expectations, particularly on us as women. How we really construct our lives as women hasn't really changed over the last, goodness knows how long. And we've just piled more and more and more expectations onto the heap of expectations that we have for ourselves and society has for ourselves as women. And then we have this kind of generalized idea that we should be able to tick all of the boxes, the 9 to 5 and the 24-hour period, we should be able to fit all of these things in. But the way, life was, the way we live in this modern way was created alongside the Industrial Revolution, alongside when women stayed home, alongside a whole bunch of structures that actually don't exist anymore. So, that whole environmental piece, one of the pieces about pausing and tuning in is, we have to answer the question as women, and I believe that this is the next revolution for women. How do we create a life that actually works? How do we create the system that works for us instead of trying to fit ourselves into the system? And the other piece alongside that is our internal environments are also at play here, not just what's happening in the external environments. We get wired into that, wired into stress and anxiety, wired into go, 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 wired into these expectations that our lives need to be a certain way. So it's kind of these internal environmental factors and external environmental factors kind of And so in the absence of support, as you said so beautifully, Kim, well, that's just going to just take over.
Oh yeah. I kind of feel like it's like, those creeping vines that just take over everything. That's the visual that I get. It's like, it just becomes engulfing. And then, without, before you know it, you can't see what was underneath that vine. I also want to give a visual of the compass, because I think this is a really beautiful anchoring visual of what we're doing here. Is if you can imagine you're a compass, or your path is a compass, this is a space for you to come and reorient and continue to orient where you are at, what you want to focus on, what's important to you. And I think our intention for this space is to show up fully. We want to show up fully and give you tools and resources and insights and gems so that you can go, oh yeah, okay, I want to pivot this way, or I want to pivot that way. What's your feeling around the compass? I love that visual.
Yeah, I feel like the compass is essential, and the compass is around definitely knowing where we want to go. Firstly, if we think about it in that way, if you're going up the mountain, you want to be knowing that you're headed in the right direction. But often you go off on a few different trails. You need to reorient to your compass. So you do really need to know where you're going. And it's more than that. It's because I don't want to hike up that mountain feeling like shit the whole way, right? And the wrong shoes, with the wrong people with me.
Yeah.
And so it's about, who do you want to be when you're climbing up that whatever mountain you're being? Whatever you're doing in the world, how do you want to show up to that? What do you need to put in your backpack before you start out on that hike? What do you need to have done to prepare for that? And then how do you continuously kind of reorient your compass to where you want to go, how you want to show up, how you want to feel along the journey? These things don't happen by accident. They really don't. And it is so easy to get off course. So again, that's definitely what we do in the lab itself when we really dive into this in a much bigger way. And in the show, we want to be a space where you can really anchor into your own compass. And even, and this is the funny thing about the way anchors work. And when I use the word anchor, I'm meaning the connections we make in our brains and bodies. For example, an example of an anchor is, you call me Morna, and I know that that's my name. And I can probably hear somebody whispering Morna from, 20 feet away. We're anchored to our own names, and we're anchored to so many different things. So that's what the show is about.
Absolutely. And yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to be an anchor for you, that you'll get a feeling by coming and joining us and spending time with us, that we'll be able to nourish a feeling within that helps to spark you and help you in your journey. So well, yeah, let's what's next? What's coming in May?
What's coming up in May? So here's the deal with the show, because I think we've just done a 20-minute advertorial. I love it. So what we're going to do, the shows are going to be roughly 20 minutes. Sometimes we'll go for 30 if it's a super hot topic and we're really into it, but we're aiming for around 20 minutes. Rather than kind of, we don't really think an hour is a long time. We're aiming for 20 minutes. We're going to be going straight into the juice. And what's coming up in May, we're going to be diving into this, I guess the core idea, the central idea of our work, of this idea around designing our lives. So next week, we're going to look at how we navigate this thing called life. What do we mean by that? And then the week after, we're going to be looking at getting more intentional about creating a life that serves us and serves what we want to create in the world. And then the last session for May, we're going to be talking about how do we get more comfortable with trying things and experimenting. And the reason why we're so passionate about that is because, we certainly notice this in ourselves, notice it in so many of the women around us, that we're waiting for things to be a certain way. We're waiting for the planets to line up and everything to be perfect, and then we'll put some work. We'll do what we want to do. Or actually, we've got to get way more comfortable with experimenting and trying things out and seeing what happens, and then being comfortable with that in our own bodies, so that we can continue to move forward and make sense of things and our work in the world. So that's what we're going to do in May. And then, as we said at the beginning, was there anything you wanted to add, Kim?
Yeah, just to kind of go back to the question at the beginning and revisit the question of, what do you want to fully show up for? And I love that, fully show up. It really speaks to your gifts. What inspires you? What gives you energy? Who do you want to be? What do you want to invest your time in? It's a big question, and invite you to write it down on a piece of paper and just see what comes up, see what flows out of the pen for you, and share with us your thoughts in the comments. Share with us what this brings up for you, and it could be fear, right? It's like, whoa, this is too big. But I'm really excited to dig into these big questions and topics as we move forward, and I'm just excited that we're showing up, Morna.
Man,
right?
I'm always excited to see myself. Wow.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, it's like, woo.
We're live right now. It still
so
freaks
good.
me out. It's weird that we do this. I love it.
I know.
But, I just to end on a really serious note, I know that there's work for us to do as women, and how we show up is so important. And I'm super, super curious about, what people think, how you're answering this question. What do you want to fully show up for? So let us know. Leave a comment on this video. We'll put a note below asking you as well. Let us know, because we'd love to be in that conversation, and we want to see you. We want to see your brilliance. I think that's about it. We've nearly hit our half-hour mark.
Wow, look at that.
I know, right?
Goes fast.
And also, moving forward, we're going to be doing cool things like having intro music and really
make it fancy.
Making it fancy. And this week, we just needed to begin. Sometimes you just need to start. That's just the takeaway that I want to offer for people this week. Whatever you've been holding back on starting, just start.
Just start. Take the step up the mountain. So thank you for joining us on the Breathing Space. We are super excited. Morna Haist and Kim Standeven. If you're curious about this show and want more information, there'll be some links in the comments. And next week, we are going to be focusing on navigating life. So tune in next week. Thank you so much for showing up. Please comment below. We really appreciate all the support. Bye for now.
Bye.